Nothing is over till we decide it is. And it ain't over now. Because when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Any questions here? Any questions here? Let's get it on.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have ignition. Strap in.
Straight Talk with Matt Hasley. Every Monday and Friday, 9 p.m. Central Time. Only on Armed Radio Global.
So the attitude is not going to speed things up any bit at all. I'm going to ask you to speak into the mouthpiece very clearly.
Check this out.
It is Monday night, January 11th. Time for some Straight Talk. This is your host, Matt Hasley. We're coming at you a little late, unlike what is normal. I don't know what happened. When I finally got it handed off to me, it didn't want to start up. It didn't want to log in, so who knows? But we got a special guest tonight, Lisa Haven from Lisa Haven News. Author, Christian, New World Order, conspiracy stuff. She's coming on. We're going to talk about just about everything. I've been trying to get her on the show for a while. Probably 3-4 months. And finally worked it out. So hopefully she'll be on about 9:30. But, no, a lot of things going on in the news right now. Crazy. I mean, you got to keep up with all the events that are happening. It's the time you need to be paying attention. You know, I talk to a lot of these younger people. They have that misconception that life is forever. And I mean, when I was young, you know, you're 10-foot tall, bulletproof, nothing's going to happen to me. Times are changing. So, but before we get into that, I want to do a special thanks to our sponsors out there. Eat24.com. Have you ate yet? Well, log on to Eat24.com. Download that app for your favorite mobile device. Click, order, and eat. It's like a food truck in your pants. It's really just that easy. As Snoop Dogg says, he'll tell hangry to shut up. Also, St. Julian's Macaroons. Not too late to get one of these macaroons. The Price family's been baking these goodies since the 70s. So they got their recipe is 100% gluten-free, FDA approved. You can get these beauties shipped right to your door. So check them out, www.macaroons.com. And creative-mktg.com for ideas at work. Need a lasting impression for next family or business function? Well, check them out at creative-mktg.com. Over 700,000 products. If you need a logo on it, they can do it. I got on the corner of my eye. I got the Clemson-Alabama game going. I haven't looked for a little bit there because I've been working on all my computer screens. I should take a screenshot of it. Looks like a spaceship back here. I got more screens up and everything going across here. I couldn't tell you how many windows I have open right now. Just hope the computer can handle it all. It's a lot for these computers to handle. I mean, we're actually broadcasting on 3 platforms as we speak. We're on Ustream.tv, live video, so Lisa's going to come on live video later. We have Spreaker.com, and we're also on TuneIn. And you can just search us, Arm Radio Global, and you find us there. Or you can do is, you want to tweet me during the show when Lisa gets on here and starts talking, you can do is hashtag a tweet, Arm Radio. I got my tweet deck up over here on the side over here, pop up. Eventually we're going to have live streaming where the tweets will be live during the show. So what you'll actually be able to do is tweet and have a conversation. We'll see it going on live during the broadcast. So that's new to come in 2016 when we get our some other software up done, and hopefully we get just a little more upgrades. That's what we need. So we need to get out there and keep the. Oops, I got stuff going in the background. Didn't realize that commercials. We need to get the. Keep the information flowing so everybody can understand what's going on with our society right now. Boy, I didn't realize that was running in the background. Hopefully you didn't hear that. But it's a time we need to do is pay attention. Right now, they're attacking our Second Amendment rights. I got an discussion with a friend of mine on Facebook. A personal friend. I know him personally. I mean, he's arguing with me about you can call the here. I got Lisa sending me a message right now. So let's see here. I'm going to give her the 1-800 number. And that way it'll transfer it right in. She's calling in a little early. Good. Good. We got her calling and we're set. I sent her the information, so hopefully we'll have her on here shortly. We have got our Twitter active. Can't wait to get some good conversation going. I had a ton of shares from the show, so hopefully we'll be finding out more if you're getting a good active debate. But as I was saying earlier, we had a friend of mine that I got in this discussion with, and he was talking about it being related to these new executive orders that the president had wrote, that they were from I just got it, but that they were to do is stop criminals from getting guns. Well, any of these last mass shootings that happened had nothing to do with these executive orders. They would have not stopped anybody. So all these are doing is making it harder for the average American to get a gun. And they're talking about they don't want to stop these influx of refugees, which they've already had 180 some of them been arrested for plots from ISIS or, that are coming over. So, I mean, what's that going to tell you? You bring in a couple 100,000 of them, or maybe 1 million like Germany did in 1 year. What do you think the odds are? If you have 180 out of the so many that have came in so far, what are the odds of it becoming, 1,000 or 10,000 of them? They already have the mindset that our Western culture is they don't like it. They don't like the way we live. They don't like the way women dress. They don't like everything about us. They don't like our religion, if you have one. They don't like the way American Muslims act. They fall under Sharia law. So what are you going to expect when they come into this country? They're going to expect to run it like their own country. They've already shown it over in Germany that they feel that you need to do is set up laws for them. And they're going to eventually, if migration comes to the effect, that they're going to end up taking over. And Germany will be no longer Germany anymore. I always wanted to go to Germany. Well, not right now. So it's it's crazy to think our government thinks is best for us, and the Americans are so against it. Majority of Americans are so against these immigrants coming without being first checked. Donald Trump come out and he said, and they called him a racist for saying it. And it had nothing to do with race. He came out and said that they need to be thoroughly checked and vetted before they come into this country. So he wanted to stop the process until we could figure out a better process. So does that make sense? So I got into a gun debate, and I'm going to read the post what he had originally started off, and it was a post to draw out an argument when it was done. And let me see if I can find it here. It was not. Let's see here. A little earlier. Oh, here we go. All right. He posted a picture that he found on the internet that it's from Occupy Democrats. It says, once upon a time, a couple of children died playing in abandoned refrigerators. It says, so laws were passed requiring manufacturers to make safer refrigerators. And laws are passed requiring consumers to safely dispose of the refrigerators. At no point did National Refrigerator Association step in and try to stop this. And now refrigerator death isn't a problem anymore. Well, people still dispose of them with the door on. They're just not a big thing that they write about. The refrigerators were, yes, fixed. But I said, we got into the topic of, I told him, I said, the problem with this is you don't have the right to own a fridge. I said, no. And he goes, yes, I do. And it falls under my pursuit of happiness. No, it doesn't. A fridge doesn't fall under your pursuit of happiness. Back when they wrote these amendments, they didn't have fridges like this. So what he goes, well, why doesn't the NRA step up and help write laws? Because that's not their job. NRA is there is help keep the Second Amendment in place. Their job is not to write the laws. Congressmen's jobs are write the laws and work on the laws. Why doesn't Congress do that? I could understand if they work together, but the problem is the laws that were all passed, or executive orders that were passed. He goes, this still doesn't answer the question implied in the post. Why does the NRA oppose efforts to pass legislation to keep guns out of hands of criminals? Even President Obama said that the executive orders that he wrote would not have stopped any of the shootings. And I asked him, I said, show me what executive order would have stopped any recent mass shooting. It's a feel-good measure against guns. We have 75 to 88,000, depending on which site you go on and talk about deaths per year related to alcohol. And the costs related to alcohol are higher than gun-related incidents. I said, you don't see them trying to ban alcohol. They did that once. It didn't work. So what's the purpose of trying to ban guns? Oh, we're not trying to take your guns away. Oh, yeah, yes, they are. They're trying to do, it says, he goes, so, Matt, he says to me, so you're saying the NRA would be supportive of a measure that would work to keep guns out of hands of criminals and terrorists. Have they ever supported something? I told him I would, but it has nothing to do with terrorists. These laws that are written have nothing to do with the people that are coming in, because they would not have passed a background check anyway to get guns on our soil. If they can't set up a system that can vet refugees, how are they going to are supposed to set up a system to background check you and I? They are coming out with, it's called, and I'm going to talk to Lisa about it, but it's ODD, Obsessive Defiant Disorder. And this is a rule that if you defy and talk out and speak against the government, that they can put label you with obsessive defiant disorder. So that's if you speak out against them, that you are inflicted or whatever with this ODD, and they can take your guns away because some psychologist will say that you have a mental problem that's a obsessive defiant disorder, and you can't be controlled. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So you mean to tell me that anytime you feel that the government is doing anything, which it's in the Declaration of Independence and in the amendments, that you should redress your grievances with the government. So if you speak up, the First Amendment, which it is totally thrown out the window because a doctor will sit there and say, no, you have ODD, obsessive defiant disorder, and you should do is have all your guns taken away. That makes no sense. I argue with them about if they want to do is enact a law, tell me what law that it actually will help, that it's actually going to stop a criminal from getting a gun. I talked about it several months ago, or even several weeks ago, and I've heard other people talk about it on shows. If you use a gun in a crime, I don't care what type of crime it is, make it a federal crime. If you use a gun to rob a store, if you use a gun to shoot at somebody, there has to be defense laws in there, though. But if you use a gun in a commission of a crime, then it becomes a federal offense. That's the way. Once you make it a federal crime and start putting people away for federal time, which is generally 75% or 80% of their time that they're sentenced. So if they get 10 years, they do 8 years. You have to make it strict enough to where they'll stop. That's the only way you're going to do is make it to where if somebody gets caught, they realize that there is an actual punishment. You're never going to stop somebody that's mental, and you're never going to, and it doesn't matter if you took away all guns. You're going to end up going, knife control, and then you're going to go, stick control or crowbar control. And I mean, what is this? You're going to have us run around with our hands taped shut. I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, you look at what's going on in our society right now. The Second Amendment attack right now. Everybody wants to do is pat the president on the back and say, "Oh, it's great that you did this." So it's great. He come out when President Bush was in office and said that he thought all that President Bush's executive actions were illegal. And he was going to stop him or... So then he gets in office and does the same thing. If it's illegal for one, it should be illegal for the other. The problem is once you start stripping away amendments, if they go through and they get enough Congress to go after it and to take away the Second Amendment, how soon is it before they start stripping away the other ones? It's going to happen. So I said to him back, I said, you're talking about giving guns to the hands of criminals. I said, try searching Fast and Furious on the internet if you want to know who's allowing criminals to buy guns. I said, this is what's sad. Criminals don't follow the law. Doesn't matter how strict it is or how lenient it is, they're not going to follow the law. I told him he had some misguided sense to pass gun laws that would not get guns. Or criminals, you know, people talk about, they have this right to buy a fully automatic weapon and stuff. That's crap. They can't. People that are making the laws have no understanding. It's like President Obama. He's never he probably never has fired many guns. He's never hunted before. I have. He goes, well, I grew up in Hawaii. I never had to hunt. He's fired some shotguns before, but I mean, it's never been to the effect of, 100. So he's going to make a rule, and he doesn't have to worry about defending himself. Hillary, the president, all the bigwigs in office, the vice president, they got more security sitting around them. They don't have to worry about it. Take away the guns from their security detail and see how quickly they if you want to show me an example that we don't need guns in this country, strip your security detail from guns. Lead by example. That isn't going to happen. It's got other things to talk about. I don't know, the Alabama-Clemson game getting a little exciting here, it looks like. But no, I want to talk more about the Philadelphia shooting. You talk about the police officer who shot. He's in intensive care. He's been shot 3 times in the arm. Rumor is that they're stating that there were this is not over. That he had 3 more accomplices, and they planned on having more attacks. I'm getting there we go. Lisa.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Am I supposed to have the video on?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, you're live. I don't know if you can see it. If you can bring up Ustream TV, your picture's actually there.
Awesome.
That's why I had to set it up ahead of time. That way, so when I brought it up, it'll capture just your window. Otherwise, I get the huge Skype. But no, it's good to have you on. I've been trying to get you on for I don't know how many months now. Been asking you, and you too busy. But I appreciate you coming on. This is Lisa Haven from lisahaven.net. Lisa Haven is a Christian New World Order conspiracy, end of times, biblical stuff. She talks a lot about. A lot of the stuff I talk about. But I left it kind of open. I got a ton of things that I want to talk about, but I left it open to what you want to talk about, what you think is the most pressing thing that we need, that listeners should pay attention to and look for in 2016 and what's going on in our immediate future. I've been talking recently, just before you came on, about gun control, and I got in an argument with a friend of mine who he thinks that they're going to pass some magical law that's going to do is keep the criminals from getting guns, and I'm trying to tell him it's not going to happen. If you're in some fantasy land, if you think it's going to happen, it's just going to keep them away from us.
True. I mean, I think one of the most important attacks right now is the attack on our Second Amendment right. I mean, if Obama and the Obama administration has their way, they're going to do this thing. They're not going to come a lot of people think, oh, we say gun confiscation. I don't think it's going to be a bam, let's go confiscate your guns and go house to house. It's not going to happen that way. I don't believe. I believe when they do it, it's likely going to happen through increments, through laws, through regulations, just like it has in multiple other countries where it's just that slow boil like the frog in the kettle. And, you slowly turn up that boiling water till that frog heats to death. Well, it's the same thing that they're doing here. They're going to pass so many background checks, so many steps that you have to take. And they're now even talking about, through Obama's latest action, that he wants to make it so your doctor can say if you're mentally fit for a gun, if you have some kind of mental condition, or if they see you as unfit. I mean, and that opens a wide range of things, because you could say, oh, well, you have... what is it, ODD, oppositional defiant disorder, because you're defiant to the government and you make YouTube videos, or you have a radio show, or, you listen to...
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. We're all in trouble. Or if you get some liberal, crazy doctor, who wants to label you as such. But there's lots of different things that they could say, oh, no, you're not worthy of a gun. But they're definitely headed that direction. And so what I foresee is they'll increase background checks, and they'll start making it illegal for certain people with certain conditions. And then it'll be if you have children with certain conditions, and then it'll be, step 1, step 2, step 3. But what I also foresee is Obama taking a big step in these background checks, because he wants to go down in history as one of the tyrannical dictators, I will say, who wants to take away our gun rights. And that's one of his cliches that he proudly, proselytizes himself as such. And I think we just need to be ready to take a stand against all of that. I think what is most terrifying is people won't recognize it in these slow increments, whereas if it's all of a sudden, Americans will take a stand. So that's my fear. And
when they finally wake up, it'll be too late. Yeah.
Exactly. And when we say gun confiscation, it's already happening through legislations and whatnot. So, that I think is one of the most pressing issues. Another pressing issue, currently we have the Syrian refugee crisis. They're coming in on our borders. We know in Sweden, in I think it's Norway. I'm looking at my map up here. I like my map. But Germany and other countries right now are having skyrocketed epidemics of rape because of all the refugees that they're bringing into the country. And it's gotten so bad that they're even they're kind of dumbing it down on the media, on the news reports, so people aren't so aware. And it's just gotten that bad. And as you know, and as you likely know, and as many of the viewers know, is in the Muslim religion, they can rape as a booty of war, so to speak. And their idea, if you read some of the information about what they're trying to do, is they invade countries from within. They have more children, they invade from within, they start pushing their laws, and it's actually a really good tactic, if you're thinking war strategy wise. But this is what they're doing. They're moving into other countries, multiplying babies, passing laws and regulations under the banner of political correctness, thereby taking over the country. And in this kind of war that they, and it's not all of them, obviously there's more radical, but the radical ones are it's okay, according to the Quran, according to the Hadith, to rape women in war, and this is considered a war for them. So, this is why there is an uptick in rapes globally, and I foresee if, in America, as we let more and more of the refugees in, we're going to have increased crime. We're going to have increased rape. We're going to have, increased pushes towards Islam and political correctness, even harder than it is now, not to say anything against.
Well, they're trying to pass laws right now that it's illegal for you to even criticize Islam. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's one of our First Amendment rights. It's whether I'm Catholic. I raised Catholic, went through all grade school, high school, everything, all my brothers, sisters. I raised my family the same way. And when they, I don't go out and, think that it's okay for me to do something because of my religion. And if Catholics were going out and moving into another area and killing people because they thought that this is the way, the end of the, we were going to bring back Jesus this way, I would speak out against it.
Amen.
And they would go and they would probably take them by force and stop them, where they're not doing that with the Muslim that are coming in. And Donald Trump, like him or not, I don't whether you like the guy or not,
he's good.
We would not be talking about what he has said if he would have brought it up. It would have been talking about totally other things. If he wouldn't have ran for president and said, we need to put a stop on all the refugees coming in until we can get a process that works, well, he's absolutely right. And they call him a racist. And I'm like, my daughter tells me, she goes, well, he's a racist. I said, how do you consider him to be a racist? For him to say that about Muslims is not race. That's religion. I said, you can be black Muslim. You could be Arab Muslim. You can be a white Muslim if you want.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with your color of your skin. It has to do with religion. And I try to argue that point, and people are so, if they're so against him, it doesn't matter what you say. And I heard today, this is a lot how, because when Ronald Reagan became president, I was very, very young. I remember when he got shot, I was in, I think, a junior or senior in high school. And when he got, but it's, you to think about how when he ran for office, about what was going on, everybody was talking about, I don't like him. And he's kind of the same way that Trump is. He was a polarizing figure where he said this and we were going to do this and nobody liked it. And then all of a sudden when he got in, he's like, wow, they had a change of tune with him. And I'm not saying that Donald Trump is going to get elected our next president. But right now, things that are going on with our current president, that he's saying it, and majority of Americans oppose it, and he still goes with it. That's what drives me nuts. Is we talk about majority of Americans oppose gun control.
Yeah,
they're trying to stop that. A majority of Americans want to stop immigration into this country until we can solve the vetting process.
Right.
And immediately he's like, no, we don't need more vetting there. But you need more background checks for gun control, but you don't need any for this guy that you have no idea, that lived in a country that we know nothing about, that lived in a town or city in Syria or wherever he came from, that we have no way of telling who he was related to or what he might do. But this veteran who came back, who doesn't believe that they should be able to take guns away from people, now he's classed with ODD and he can't have a gun. It's getting to the point where it's almost laughable.
It is laughable, and that's the thing. Obama knows it, and I don't know if you heard. I know it was recently released that, and I've talked about it hundreds of times before, and I'm sure you have. We all know that Obama, behind the scenes, he's a Muslim. He's a closet Muslim. There's so much around him, but recently it was leaked through some of his Secret Service men that he is a Muslim, and he actually prays to Mecca 5 times a day. And I did a report on this a couple of weeks ago. But he is all of the actions and things that he's doing are showing that. I mean, here he is letting, and I don't know if there has been a single Christian that has come along with those Syrian refugees. And if there are, they're very, very minuscule. And they're the ones, the Arabic Christians over there are getting persecuted, beheaded, and killed. And this is not what we're seeing an influx in. I think 90% of them, and I think it's higher than that, are Muslim coming into the countries from these refugees. And, if we think of also based off the own government statistics, I'm going to use where they say 10% of all the refugees that come in are ISIS members. Well, according to that, say if you let 10,000 in, well, 10% of them, you've got 1,000, 100,000, you've got 10,000 in our country alone. That's a big, staggering number.
Well, they said, what, now they've already arrested 188, they said, that are somehow related to it, and they haven't even started letting them in by the droves, like Germany did. Germany has already let in 1.1 million, and if you get that 10%, that's an astronomical number.
It is astronomical. And then when they, if we think about when they come in, Obama's turning, there are 36, I think, jihadist camps here in America, and Obama does nothing about them. They're more worried about sovereign citizens. According to one document, they were more of a threat than any terrorists. We don't really, that's ridiculous. That's absurd. That means basically your patriot categorized person is more of a danger than, an ISIS terrorist or these terrorist camps that exist. And they're allowing them to exist. They don't go in there. They don't stop. They don't, they turn a blind eye to it. And this explains everything when we think of a Muslim in the White House. It explains why they're turning a blind eye to it. It explains why they're allowing the refugees in. It explains why they want the destruction of this country, And it explains why things are going the way they are with the economy and why President Obama has quadrupled our debt. I don't think he is in the White House to make America better. I think he's in a White House to push a Muslim agenda.
I have last Monday I had on James Fetzer. I don't know if you know who James Fetzer is. James talks about conspiracy theories and stuff like that, and we talked about Sandy Hook. And I don't know if you've researched into Sandy Hook at all, and there's a ton of research in that. I've had multiple shows on. I've had Wolfgang Helbig on. I've had James Fetzer on it and talked about it, and all the discrepancies that come up with it, which was the agenda to push more gun control. People look at that, and if you can, I just showed them the evidence, and I said, okay, look at this and tell me why this grieving parent is seen walking around in a SWAT uniform the same day of the shooting. I mean, this was all a staged event. Majority of the donation websites were up the day before the shooting. They have timestamps from Facebook and everything. And
You'd think they'd get better at that stuff over time.
Well, I think that they figured that it's so dramatic that if you question the whether it's legitimate or not, then they attack you. And it's like this kid wrote last week. I don't know. He wrote a paper for his school. He's a high school senior or whatever, and he wrote an article to the school about his view on Black Lives Matter and Ferguson and how this, Michael Brown getting shot and all this, and then they've made death threats on this kid. This kid won't even go back to school. He was supposed to go to school, an Ivy League school, and they're writing to the school to get them to rescind his acceptance letter. I mean, it's ridiculous. So if you speak out, they attack you, and it's gotten so bad. So it's like rewind way back. Go back 8 years or 7 years ago, actually, and think about what was his name? It was something the plumber, Joe the plumber.
Joe the plumber,
and he asked an honest question and got attacked. And they went into his finances. They went into everything. And that's what we're seeing about when you have a government that you come to speak out against, they attack you. I wanted to ask you about, right now, we have currently going on this Philly police officer who is attacked in blatant, on camera. It just happened to catch it on camera. And the guy admits to this is in his following the religion of Islam, and this is an ISIS, and that's what the police chief puts out. And then all of a sudden the mayor goes, whoa, 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 whoa. We had no means did this have anything to do with Islam or blah, 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 blah. And they're just total backtracking because they don't want to admit.
They're told not to.
And they talk about today there's 3 more accomplices that are still out there that they're talking about could still make the attacks. That's
the thing. I know somebody sent me, I guess, some information the other day that really exposed, there's likely Muslims in all 3 branches, judicial, legislative, and executive, and I think that they have really infiltrated. And this is why they're using it under the banner of political correctness to get what they want. But when a guy who says, I'm doing this for ISIS, goes and shoots a cop in plain sight, well, hey, let's tell everybody he's doing this for ISIS. if it was some guy who claimed to be a Christian or claimed to be a Catholic or, of the Christian faith, they'd probably just lump it all as, Christianity. And they say, oh, a Christian.
That's right. No
questions asked, shot a cop in cold blood. And then all of a sudden, but we're not, politically correct. No, is that man who shoots somebody and murders somebody in cold blood like that really a Christian? No, I wouldn't classify him as such. But they would proselytize the fact that it was Christianity.
If he was a Christian NRA
white guy.
Yeah, they would be all over it.
It's hard to be a Christian white person in America, especially.
Well, it's almost like you have to be closet, because if you tell anybody, you're afraid to. But the thing about it is, I'm not afraid to tell anybody that I'm Catholic, and I'm going to be that way.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's just that's the way it is. And the thing about it is, I don't care if they're a Muslim. That's fine, because there's people that I know that worship, Buddhists, that are, and stuff and that's fine. But when your religion goes out to start to kill people in the name of its religion, then I have a problem with it. And the president goes, well, there were some bad things done in the name of Christianity. I go, yeah, but that was back in the Crusades. And they don't do that now. If they do that now, they would be attacked. If you even carry a Bible to school, they attack you. You can't even admit to that. So, there's a lot of things that have been going on that just doesn't make sense. But so, you look at this Philly police officer. This is the tip. If they're attacking officers, I'm a former police officer. I did 13 years in law enforcement. If they're attacking officers, that tells you that these people are not afraid of attacking anybody. Yeah. Next, it's going to be a school. And we're so worried about having our schools be gun-free zones that we have no one there to protect them.
No.
I listened to a lady on say they were talking about having retired officers and retired military that are trained to work at the schools that are armed. And she said, well, what if a kid gets a hold of the gun?
Oh, my goodness.
What if the kid brings a gun to school with him anyway? I mean, it has nothing to do with that. That's the mentality they have. If somebody overpowers that guard, well, that could happen when the police officer gets there. I mean, so rather than you got guns in the bank, you got guns at the airport, you have guns everywhere. Guns protect the president, but it's not okay for us to have them. That doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't. And okay, I think when we come across someone who is against guns, they're really not anti-gun. They're really not. Let's call it what it is. Those people are pro-gun in the hands of the elite, in the hands of the powerful, in the hands of everybody but the average everyday citizen. That's what they are for. They are for only governmental officials having guns, and everyone else is left to fend for themselves. That's the truth of the matter. There's really no other way to see that. And I think I think we have a better chance to reach, those who are asleep at the wheel with gun rights and whatnot to share with him that way. Because it's more of a wake-up call, because that's the reality of it. It's not disarmament of the whole world. That's not going to happen.
No, that won't happen.
Obama's not going to get rid of his Secret Service men. Russia's not going to get rid of all their nukes. We're not going to get rid of our nukes. Iran's not going to it's just not going to happen. So we just have to, I think, start opening eyes that way. And I know I've opened a few people's eyes by saying it that way. They're like, oh, I never thought of that. I'm just hoping more people wake up. If not, we could be looking at another 1776. So
I hope we don't get to that point where we're, because I tell you, people are getting upset about it so bad. But, you look at tomorrow, I guess he's having a State of the Union.
Yeah, another one.
and he's going to leave an empty chair. This is what I've heard, is an empty chair for the victims of gun violence. Why don't you leave about all the other chairs empty for all the people that have died because of Roe versus Wade? All the people that have died because of these abortions that they do every year. And what gets me is Democrats are so for everything else. They're for gay rights. They're for freedom from religion. Freedom. Everything is geared towards the person, the woman's rights and everything like that. But they don't stand up for the rights of a baby. They're talking about wanting to save kids from gun violence, but they won't save the kid that's gonna be born. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. That's where I get like, I call it hypocritical.
It is hypocritical. And, two things with that. How about instead of an empty chair next to Obama, they show a room with tens, hundreds of thousands even of chairs to show how many lives each month guns are saving versus taking. And the numbers are, I think it's like 6-some-odd thousand a day, according to a statistic that I read recently. That's how many people's lives are saved a day due to guns. So to compare his measly 30,000 people a month or whatever it was that he said, well, try 6,000 a day, try 2.5 million a year versus his 30, I think it was 30,000 a year.
I think it's right around there, 33 or 30-some thousand.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like 2.5 million versus come on. Why don't you share the real facts?
The benefits far outweigh. Yeah, the benefits far outweigh, the risks. Yes, there's going to be a risk for a gun owner that has one that his child gets a hold of it because there's somebody stupid. I mean, you're always going to have somebody that mishandles a gun, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be a gun. It could be he left his electronics, the nail driver out, and the kid was playing with it, because he's a carpenter. It could be anything. There are more people die from hammers every year than they do from guns. So, from attacks, and you're going to see more and more. I mean, if they want to do bad, if you got a person that's a criminal element, I dealt with enough of them that
right.
It doesn't matter if you take away the guns. What did they do back in caveman days? They carried around a club and they beat somebody to death, and that's what they did. I mean,
or sword.
That's right. It's going to go to that. I mean, you'll never get it to where they take them away. You look over in Australia, they want the guns back because the crime rate has gone through the roof, and not just petty theft. I'm talking about violent crime. There's no way for people to defend themselves. They're talking about putting out a law. I saw it just recently where they want a gun registry. They want to do is register everybody's guns. That you should be able to go onto a map and look and see if my child is going to go to their person's house, if they should have a gun in the house or not. Okay, so now you just gave every criminal and the government a map to grab every gun. Well, I guarantee you, if the doctor asks me if I have any guns in the house, I'm going to say no.
You're not obligated to do so. I want to make that clear to everyone's listening. There is no constitutional statement. You don't have to answer that question. I purposely leave it off and say it's none of your business. Mark it out. They send papers home now and they ask for guns. The other bit of advice I want to give everybody is if you have kids that go to school, they're asking children now if your parents have a gun. If you want to discuss this with your children, they don't have to tell the school that you have guns. The school doesn't have to know that you have guns. Either, let your children know, hey, don't tell the teacher we have guns in the house. Inform your children of these questions because they're going to be asked. There's no constitutional right. There's no law that has to be answered.
Well, see, what I like about my kids' school is we still have, Jesus in school. We have, I send them to a Catholic school. They go through, they learn, they have religion. They go to church every Friday. I went to the school as a kid. That's how long it's been. It's just kind of neat growing up and going back to the same school. It's been around for years. Well, my son, being, inquisitive that he is, I have these little, they're little blanks for shooting nails into, it's a nail driver. And it goes into this thing, and it shoots nails into concrete. Oh. So we were putting in footings for a bench. We had to nail it into concrete at work. So you buy a packet of them, and there's like 30 of them in there or whatever. And there's no bullet, but it looks like a bullet. Uh-huh. So he took one to school. any other school, public school, they'd have locked down the school. They'd have had him. I mean, it would have been crazy. This kid brought a bullet to school. Oh, my God, where's the guns? They'd have searched my house. They'd done, you know what they did? They taped it to a piece of paper, and they said, please tell him don't bring this anymore or whatever. Have a talk with him why you shouldn't bring this. That's how school should be. Instead of a kid biting a Pop-Tart into the shape of a gun and then expelling the student. Talk to the kid. Why? Teach the kid. That's what you're there for. It's to teach the kid. I can understand you not wanting to talk about guns and stuff at school. I understand that. But use that venue to teach the kid to understand why. But no, talking about, I'm looking at some of your stuff on your. The next thing I want to talk about was you said that after the president gets done with being president, he has secret plans of, and this is new to me. I didn't know this, but you wrote a story, and I let you. I prefaced it so you can tell everybody what you feel is coming down the line.
Yes, that was a story. Let me pull it up too, so I can. Oh yeah, Obama campaigns to rule the United Nations. That's a rather shocking report, and quite frankly, I wanted to vomit when I read it because, after all the things that Obama has already done to America, he's socialized our education or federalized it. He's done the same with our health care. He's doing the same with our trading through the TPP. That's his goal. He's pushed a real states versus federal rights where the state has literally become nothing. And they're bowing down to this pressure. But think of what this nut job could do from the United Nations. And I know that right now it's not publicized, but there is supposedly he's secretly campaigning to take the position or succeed Ban Ki-moon this year as the United Nations Secretary General. And I don't doubt it. I know that he's obviously one of the main players. They want him up there. Look at how much he got accomplished in America. I think that's what whoever is pulling the Obama strings from behind the scenes, they can use that. So I think that, if he does, take the Secretary General position at the UN, then we are in deep doo-doo, so to speak. And, that's where it sits at this time. And I don't know, how far he is along in the process or what. Right now, it's just secret talks between them and secret campaigning from behind the scenes. So that's all we have at this time.
Yeah, just keep an update on that. Keep watching for that. Yeah, that was kind of a shocker when I saw that. Yeah. Another thing was you stated it's the United States is being attacked. 100% proof on U.S. soil. End of times, New World Order. We're talking about New World Order. A lot of people think of New World Order. They think of the Illuminati and all this stuff. But we're talking about New World Order, like changing of how we, where the UN and everything is in our police force. And, you're going to have where they take over and control us as of like a military mandate over everything we do. Yes,
that's true. I know, and I'm pulling this up as I'm talking to you, but it's the United Nations is really, they've infiltrated every state. We have schools, colleges who are pushing, model UN, I think is what they're calling it, where they push to do things that, the UN would approve of or things that would help the UN. And we know that they have, there's 17, a list of agendas that they wrote down and compiled and gathered together for the Agenda 2030 meeting that happened in September, and then Paris, France summit. These are, yearly type events that they're doing. But when I compiled that report that you just quoted, I literally went state by state by state by state and looked at how the UN has infiltrated in pretty much all 50 states. I can't say, I found every single one, but I am sure I must have found at least, 80% of the states, but I'm almost positive it's in all. But, each of them had, this is, Kentucky United Nations website. And I actually link them all in that post. So there's like,
Yep, I'm looking at them right now. You got
there's quite a bit of them as I was looking,
Houston, Sacramento, Tucson, Orlando,
Houston,
Georgia, Michigan,
yep.
Oregon.
And some of them are countywide or citywide, and some of them are statewide. Some of them are in the capitals, and so. But they had their arms in everything. It's like, well, what happened to the America I knew? Because that's like a UN takeover. There's no easy way to put that. We know we have, their main headquarters in New York, and now we have their little arms through every aspect. We have. Did you know that Common Core branches even from the United Nations? That's a UN thing. That's a UN push. Same with Obamacare. That's something that the UN pushed and the UN wanted. And so we see the TPP, that's another. And what did Obama do? He put all these things in. So it all kind of is putting the pieces together. And if Obama gets in there and actually runs and does that UN secretary at the UN, then, it's going to get worse. And I can only foresee that the UN is going to form there. And it's obviously the start of the New World Order. The UN is a New World Order global organization, and it pushes that world agenda. And they do it under the banner of world peace.
If the United States collapses with all the economy stuff that's going on right now, and then the UN would step in and take over, well, he would be in charge of the UN. Well, now he's in charge of everything. And that's the thing, is then they go and they take countries that are opposing them with their obsessive defiant disorder, we want to call it. It could be very tricky, because people are sitting there talking about, I talk to the younger crowd, and I talk to guys in their 20s and stuff, and they look at me like, what do I need to pay attention to this for? And I'm like, well, if you don't pay attention, you're going to wake up one day going, what the heck happened? Why can't I do this? Or why is this way? I said, because you sat on your fanny and did nothing, because you didn't want to you didn't want to get away from the Xbox, or you didn't want to get away from your TV, and you didn't want to do is, stop doing what you're doing to help out, or to do is stand up for a cause. Well, I talked to, when I had James Fetzer on last week, he says, the bad thing about it is, he told me he voted for Obama twice. And he goes, and that's the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life. And I've talked to more people that have voted for Obama that have told me that they're ashamed and they're upset that they voted for him, because he's not what he says he was going to do. He's talked about all the stuff that he planned on doing and being the hope and change and everything, and it's not. It's turning out to where he flat lied. And if we let Hillary jump in behind him, we're in big trouble.
She's going to make
it
worse.
If Bernie Sanders, he's a socialist. He admits it. I'm a socialist. So what's he going to do? He thinks that everybody should be the same. He wants $15 an hour to sell, at McDonald's. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but what have you done with $15 an hour, at minimum wage? Now you've done is made and raised all the prices for everything, because they're going to make their money.
Everything would raise. If they raise minimum wage, well, then your worker who is, working for an executive company or whatever, making a decent wage, making $15 an hour, and you come up, well, that's going to cause a lot of problems. And it's going to, and socialism every single time pushes a poor class and a rich class. That's it. And that's what they want. And that would be the elite over the poor. That's exactly what socialism does every single time, historically speaking. Now, I actually did a project with my girls, because I homeschool them. And I said, okay, we're going to do an experiment. And so we were going to do socialism as a society, right? So my daughters took this test that they had studied for, and one of my daughters, she's bless her heart, she loves to study. So
that's great.
She's very, very into let me get all that I can out of this. And my other daughter is like force study. I want to read. She's like that way. So I thought, oh, this will be great. So they went and one studied, one kind of studied, but not really. And they both took the test. And it was for a grade. The end result was a grade. And I said, okay, so now we're going to do this in socialism. And they're like, okay. And I said, okay, Tessa, you made a 98. Great. And I looked at my other daughter and I said, you made a 70. So she did like 70. The other one was like, 98. And she was all proud of herself because she had studied. And I said, well, socialism says we both get a 98. Yay! So my younger daughter was all happy. And my older daughter was ticked off.
She's like, why? Yeah, why is she getting the same as I did? She didn't do anything.
She didn't work for that, Mom. And well, that's what socialism does. And she goes, and I said, let's do another project. I said, let's take another, and let's take another test, and I'll give you guys an hour to study, and we'll come back. So gave them an hour to study. We came back, and they took the test, and they both failed. And I said, what happened? And my oldest goes, well, I wasn't going to give her my grade again, so what's the point, And I'm like, that's socialism. She goes, socialism sucks.
Yeah, like, why make the effort if if this person's not going to do anything, and what do you expect? So another thing that I see, and I see them wanting this. They want to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. There's another reason behind it. And it's kind of a hidden reason. Because what are these companies going to do, like McDonald's and Walmart and Target and all of them? They want to do is raise it to $15 an hour. They're going to cut back on staff. They're going to go to a minimum level staff to get by. So when they cut back, those people are going to be out of work and they're going to be dependent on the government again.
Well, they'll have more robotic jobs as well. And they'll just raise their prices of their food because they're not going to take the hit as corporate leaders.
That's right.
That's why you have poor class, rich class under socialism, because they never take the hit. It's us. It funnels down to us. If they have to pay their people more, well, now you have to pay more for that Big Mac. May go up to $10. Who knows?
And you also look at they've been floating this thing about wanting to charge per the mile. Tax you per the mile as you drive.
Yep.
And people well, I don't drive much. That's great. And they think, but the problem is that that doesn't just factor on your mileage you drive, because I don't drive a lot myself. Right. But the problem is it goes to every truck driver that you have, everybody delivering goods to Walmart, to Target, to, Sears, any company that is, they're going to tax it on top of those goods, because they're going to do is every time they drive truck across the country, they're going to charge them per mile. And it's just going to be another added on tax. And these people don't realize that. They think that it's, that's something that I don't have to pay.
No, they think that the big corporate guys are getting it in the rear end. They really think that. And it's like, no. The corporate guy, they know how the system works. They're going to funnel it down and you're going to pay for it. I'm going to pay for it.
Take a look at what FedEx and UPS has already done.
Yeah.
When you see a delivery that comes in, because I get a lot of deliveries because I'm a golf pro by trade, so I get golf clubs coming in, every spring and stuff, and they add a fuel surcharge onto that delivery, and they never used to do that, but since the gas prices went way up, they started adding that fuel surcharge. Have they taken it off? Nope, it's still there. Gas prices are low because they're trying to do is bust the economy, because they want to do is stop people from going and getting, drilling and getting everything here, so they can lower the prices overseas to bring them over, lower it down, so they can they want to do is make it so cheap that you don't go for, that fix of oil somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, you look at there's so many things going on with our country that just makes you shake your head. That what direction we're traveling in, I think that's great that you homeschool your kids. I don't know if I could handle doing it with mine.
Not everybody can.
No, I tell you what, I got to give you credit. But I have a soon-to-be 21-year-old. She's in college, in her last year in college. I have a 16-year-old he'll be going to be a senior in high school next year. He's a junior right now. And then I got a 10-year-old. So, yeah, there was kind of a gap in there between. And my 10-year-old walks in the door tonight and he goes, Dad, I got sentences to do. Let's do them now. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I got homework. I got sentences I got to write. And I got to write possessive nouns and everything. And I got to do them now. And I'm like, now? And he's like, yeah, let's get him out of the way. He wanted to get him done so he could, play around or watch TV or do a video game, but he wanted to get it done now. And I thought that was great. He walked in the door, wanted to get his homework over with. And so we sat down and we did him, and it's amazing. You look at a 10-year-old, the mind of a 10-year-old. They don't think of anything. Like right now, everything is, you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof. You don't think of anything ever going to harm you.
Right.
And we are getting the gray hair. I know I am. I don't know about you, but I'm getting the gray hair because that's all I think about is their future. What's going to happen to them? What's going to happen? And they're more worried about, what bothers me, they're more worried about saving our planet from global warming or climate change, as I want to call it, than they are about the immediate threat of ISIS.
Yes, they say it's more pressing, I should say, in their own words, the fact that global, which I believe, I don't know your take, but I believe it's all a fraud and a lie to put more money in their pockets. That's my personal take. That's what it's all about. And there's many scientists that have come forward and disproved global warming, global cooling, climate change, whatever the dub names they want to use now. But it's a means to an end. It's something that they want to use to put more taxes, to accomplish socialism and create a world problem and offer a world solution. And that's one step in that direction. That's what it's for, and that's its purpose.
They're sitting over in France and doing a global change summit, climate change summit. And France just had more deaths due to terrorist activity than we had, and they're talking about, climate change. Never once brought up about, radical Muslims that are doing these attacks. It was like, you're right there. How come you're not bringing this up? This should have been. They should have dropped that global climate change summit and started something that meant something.
That's the problem. The problem of ISIS and terrorism is a global problem, once again, that they're going to offer a global solution to, both climate change and then the terrorism, Islamic terrorism, too. It's going to push their agenda.
I have a friend of mine who lives in Oslo. I talked about it last week. He lives in Oslo, Norway. And nice. I asked him, I said, there's a report out. Oh, I texted him. And I said to him, I go, hey, are you having problems with the immigrants in downtown Oslo? And he's like, why? And I just know him well enough to where when he said why, that exactly how he was saying it to me, because I've spent a lot of time with him. And I said, well, there's a report out that you're having problems with immigrants where they're robbing people and sexually assaulting people or whatever like that. And he told me, he goes, yes, but we're passing laws right now to to try to solve the problem. And I'm like, well, yeah. It's too late. You're at to the point where it's too late. The minute you start to do is you're chasing you're chasing your own tail, and that's what you're doing. You're already too late to get into the, they do not carry guns there. It's a country. He told me about a story about when they had a robber come in and they robbed these banks. And they were helpless. They had no guns. It's just like all those kids on that island that, I don't know how many years ago that was, probably 7 years ago, when all those kids were shot and killed on that one island, and it was like a camp. And the one guy he said, the only reason why I stopped shooting is because I ran out of ammo. They had no one to protect anybody. I just got a poke from a message. How much of the Muslim problem is... It says, how much of the Muslim problem in Europe propaganda? Yeah. I'm not sure if he's asking me. Hey, Mike, a friend of mine said it to me. Mike Send it through Facebook. So, but because otherwise it makes that loud chime. And he sent it to me through another. Let me see if I can turn that off so it doesn't. The notifications are just like boom loud.
It's all good. Comes through on my channel sometimes too. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I have. Well, the thing that bothers me about Europe, what's going on right now, is that what's her name, Merkel, where she's like tried to downplay it. That they had all these women get attacked. People don't realize if this many Muslim that are Sharia law Muslims that come to this country with the Sharia law mindset, they are going to do the same when they get here. They're going to attack women, and now you're going to be telling yourself, why did we let them in? Mm-hmm. And it's too late then. I have a daughter. I know what it's like when to fear whether something's going to happen to your daughter. It's. I don't want to have to go through that. I don't want to have to go and worry about whether she is going to be attacked by somebody. She could. That could happen to her any day. But when you get 100,000 out of 1 million of them that want to do is create problems. Now, then I'm starting to worry about it. Well, Merkel, they've been downplaying this attacks for weeks, or for a week, and finally it just started bleeding out. The story got out to everybody, and now they had to copy it or cover it, and it's worse than you think. When you look at some of these women that were attacked, I mean, I don't go out on New Year's Eve. I mean, I got kids. You kind of learn to, that stuff is amateur night. But a lot of people like to go. The young crowd likes to go out, but they don't expect to get sexually assaulted that way.
Right. Well, when we start letting them into America, it's going to increase. It's statistically speaking. That's what happened in every country they went into. We're not immune, and that's the thing that they're really pushing under the rug. They're telling Angela Merkel in Germany to be quiet about it. I don't think she wants it out anyway. She has an agenda. Her agenda is the same as Obama's. She wants a new world order. She wants basically your global elite with the poor masses. That's what they're looking at. And they know, they're not stupid people. They know that when they allow these refugees in, what's going to happen. They know economy's going to break down. They know crime's going to go up. They know, political correctness is going to be out the roof and Sharia law. They all know this. We don't have stupid people. I'm sure there are some out there, but they know what they're doing and they have an agenda and a plan, and Angela Merkel's part of that. And so, I think she knows every bit of what she did. And now she's just trying to cover her tracks by keeping it all under wraps and pushed under the rug. So we in America aren't hearing about it. You don't hear about what's happening in Germany on CNN, MSNBC, or any of the other, mainstream lying media. They're just not talking about it. Why? Because they're an agenda. And even I know many of the mainstream medias are actually owned by Saudis, Saudi Arabians. What does that tell you?
I was listening to, mine left. Alex Jones.
Oh yeah.
Alex Jones is talking about. Speaking of CNN, Alex Jones is talking about how Anderson Cooper is a CIA plant, and it would not surprise me. I mean, from the things that go on, but a lot of stuff. If I bring it up to people, they look at me and they go, you got the tinfoil going or whatever, until they see it in their face. If I just sat there and told them, I said, look what's going on in Europe with all these Muslims coming in, for immigrants that are attacking women and raping them. Before the story broke, they would have said, what are you, nuts? Are you crazy? This isn't happening. And then all of a sudden, boom, the story breaks. You sit there and, through people that that you have contacts with, and stories that come out. And, I mean, I've seen stories where I talk about it, and a week later, it makes it on the regular mainstream news. Yeah. It takes that long for them to finally start reporting on it. and it's been multiple incidences of things that have happened on, like, could be something that has to do with the Second Amendment or something that has to do with conspiracy theories that end up turning to be right. I think we're told to sit down and shut up, and that's the problem. Is we finally got to the point where a lot more people are standing up and saying, "No, we're not gonna anymore." I mean, it's getting too crazy. Another,
after us, too.
here's the thing I want to talk about to kind of steer the from Europe, and this is another article that you wrote, and this is you said God kept this man alive for the very moment he says he could change your truth perception, and you talked about an article about, and I've had the biggest names in UFOs. I've had Bill Burns from UFO Hunters. Mm-hmm. I've had the granddaddy of them all, Dr. Stanton Friedman on. I've also had Alejandro. Oh God, its names leave me, but he does OpenMinds.tv. And I've had, and they talk about, we had a discussion of the Grays conspiracy, and it makes sense that through some of the articles, because there's a lot of it out there, but when you bring this out and you throw this on the table to somebody, what's the first thing they look at you like?
They're like, it's really hard.
Yeah.
I have to know the person to bring them up because they'll just be like, oh, some of them are like, oh, that scares me. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. And it's kind of disturbing. It's like, well, you want to ignore something that's out there that's going on, or you want to really know the truth. And if it does exist out there and we have some end time alien deception coming up, don't you want to be aware of it? And that's kind of the idea I'll approach it from. And a lot of people are actually, they do believe, they just are more of, at that curious stage, but there's just so much stuff happening in the skies nowadays, and that it's almost impossible to say. Yeah, and it really is. And I think right now it might be a stumbling block for some people, but I think in the near future it's just going to be so in your face. There's just so much stuff. From I've seen a lot of videos. I don't know if you know L.A. Marzulli and Steve Quayle. They've got lots of great information on what's happening or prophecy in the news. All of them, Tom Horn, Chris Putnam, all of them have great information on this stuff as well. And and my father he's kind of delved into it for years, studied what it was. And as I believe, the alien grays are the Nephilim of the Bible, which the Bible talks about. They were giants back then, but they've manipulated DNA. They obviously have the ability to do that, to be more human-like, or so that's one of the theories that exist out there of what they are. But, I think we need to be aware. If there really is something out there, as a Christian, I believe there's a biblical explanation for it. And I have found that in the book of Enoch, in the book of Yasher, which are not canon, obviously, but they are great historical informations, like I would read in a history book. That's kind of how I take those. Obviously, the Bible, in my opinion, supersedes that, but it is great. There's lots of pieces that can be pieced together to say, hey, look, we need to be aware of this deception. We need to be aware of the UFO phenomenon. What is it? That's what everybody wants to know. What is it? Who are they? Where are they from? I believe they're interdimensional. I don't believe, they have their own planet unless, God, unless God put one out there for them. That could be as well. But they're interdimensional, and they definitely have an agenda. And I believe they're in the upper ranks of the Illuminati. And I'm sure that they reveal themselves to certain people who are on the top of the pyramid, so to speak. So that's just a piece of a lot of things that are happening. But there's definitely a spiritual realm aspect, and we have our God, and the devil, good versus evil, going on as well. Which as a Catholic, I know you believe that as well.
Oh, definitely. You look at some of the, good versus evil. You look at it. from when I was a kid till now, the amount of evil that's out there is just, it's astronomical to what it's become. How in your face it is. It's not uncommon for people, they turn on the news and they go, shooting, murder, shooting, murder, rape, and they go, oh, what's the weather? You know, they don't even, it's like, doesn't affect them. You know, it's got to the point where, oh, then or they get on there and they turn on the TV and they go, I can't stand watching the news. All it is murder, kill, rape, murder. And then they go, oh, let's turn on NCIS. You know, no, let's turn on HBO and watch some, you know, murder mystery or something like that. Or, I mean, you just look at it and you go, really? You know? I did want to talk also about how, and this was, I see it, is you've been putting in, I see your messages go out on Facebook.
Yeah.
That Facebook is censoring more and more people that speak out, more and more videos. I'm noticing posts that I put in my timeline that are disappearing. It all depends what I put in my post. Like when I talk about my shows, I'll share it, and you saw my share, how I do it, and it's listed all my and I'll look back and they'll be on my timeline and they'll be gone. And I'm like, why the heck are they, you know, what are they missing for? And I'll share it to multiple locations. It's not just shared to one or whatever. And I have other people that share them out. But it's getting to where you're starting to see, it's like, you know, they're trying to shut you up.
They are. And it really, even late December or late last year, and especially at the beginning of this year, I was banned twice in December, and I've already been banned twice this week alone. The first time, I know they were censoring every media outlet that was really out there talking about the things that were going on at the Hammond Ranch. They were shutting down all media on that, you know, those who were sharing in groups anyway. And I was only blocked for a couple days on that one until Saturday. And then I got back on Saturday, and then they blocked me again for a second time. And I'm thinking, okay. But it's just, and then I was blocked. I've never been blocked that often, but I'm starting to get blocked a whole heck of a lot more. And they've really upped it. And I know all the other media personnel that write for Before It's News, at least I know they're also getting attacked. They're getting banned left and right. And I'm thinking something's up here. I know a lot of media people, you know, I don't know a whole lot, but I know a lot, enough to know that, okay, something's different about now than it ever has been before. And starting this year, I have not seen this much media censorship on Facebook than I have at any other time. And so I just know they're either, I don't know if they're about to kick us off altogether. We know that Zuckerberg he was at the UN talking to Angela Merkel, you know, and he said he was going to do more censorship. He said more censorship on immigration, but I'm sure it's more censorship altogether. And that's what I'm seeing. It's just really upticked. And what I'm surprised is, obviously, it's coming from the White House. It's coming from the government, you know, and Mark Zuckerberg himself. But they don't even care anymore, you know, about the business side of it. Say you get, you know, normally a website, you want more clicks, you want more action. But Facebook has got so many people on it. They've got such a big name that they don't even care if they're losing that anymore. And that's why the censorship has just really gone up. And Obama wants to shut us down. I know Matt Drudge came on Alex Jones's show and saying they're about to shut it all down. And that was an inside source on Matt Drudge's part, talking about a judge that he had spoken with. And so I don't know how many years we got left. I'm hoping if Donald Trump gets in office, we've got at least 4 more, because, you know, he's gone on the Alex Jones show. And I know that at least we'll be okay. That's my hope, unless he gets, you know, orders from above and that all changes. That could happen. But I'm hopeful. If Hillary gets in, I worry, you know, that us here in the media don't have much time left, because their goal is to shut us down because we're the only ones winning the information war. And we need to continue to do that. Even if they shut us down on the internet, we need to be able to send pamphlets in the mail or something, something to where we can still get the message out. So,
yeah, you look at Alex Jones, his media hits. You look at a video that's put out by like CNN or MSNBC, which is the biggest joke for a media organization I've ever seen. Or
and
even Fox or ABC,
Yeah.
ABC, NBC, it doesn't matter. CBS, it might get several thousand hits. Alex Jones gets millions of viewers. I mean, he'll get millions of hits on this, and it'll be astronomical the shares because the word is starting to get out. I have a friend of mine who knows him. I've been sending him messages. I'm trying to get him to where either I can do a pre-recorded show with him and talk to him, or somehow I'm working at it. But I'm trying to do is just get higher and higher, get more and more, because you got to get known. You got to get to where. I mean, I've talked to a ton of people, and a lot of them I've talked to FBI agents, and they're telling me we cannot talk to you on your show. They will not let us talk to you. I've talked to several of them that say, hey, it's a great topic. I can't talk about it. They're told us keep our mouth shut, and it tells you, where we're headed. Hopefully, if these emails where they keep coming out for Hillary, I mean, you or I would be in prison already right now. We would have been arrested and picked up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if we would have done what she did. There's supposed to be, Uma Adaden, which is her aide. Her emails are starting to come out now. And they got an email where she asked one of the people to take the header off it and send it to her private server off a classified email. That's what they're talking about right now. She's trying to deny it, but she emailed them wanting them to take the header off, the classified header off, and email it to her private server. I'm like, I don't know how long this can go before they finally indict her. I mean, this just makes no sense. And then we're going to get into I think we're going to be hard fought because people have a misguided sense that Bernie Sanders is, not establishment. He's been in Congress for how many years? For 28 years, something like that.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how you get any more establishment than that.
I know. And he, with a socialism mentality, his ultimate end game is going to be communism. That's where socialism leads. And they know it. They know it. But see, he's on the side where he's going to be rolling in the dough, so to speak. And what they want is a bunch of dumbed down Americans that they can piss on. Put it bluntly.
They're already doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And Bernie Sanders knows that. And the sad part is, there's so many people that are just blind. I know before I actually studied this stuff in my college years, before you just, you're really, it's a prime age, but the younger people, they're really brainwashed into it. And I was, I remember talking about socialism thinking, oh, everybody gets the same pay. That's great, in my 20-year-old brain. At the time, and but that's because you go to a liberal college, you through high school, you just don't know any better. You haven't experienced enough job opportunities. You're really fresh in the field, and this is where they're really brainwashing kids. They're brainwashing them from that young age, and they're filling them with fluoride in the drinking water, chemtrails from the skies, GMOs, and HARPs. And so I think it's doing something ultimately to our brains. Unfortunately, but thankfully thankfully I came out of that quite quick, with my smart father and mother who set me straight, shortly thereafter. I just had to have one conversation. What's socialism, Dad? Before I knew, in my younger years. And he explained, but, so, and it's sad when I see other kids who are 18, 19, 20 and just prim off off the schools, and they really have no idea. And they really can't even tell you the difference between capitalism, socialism, when you ask them what that is. They don't know half the time, and they don't care, and that's what's really sad is, oh, this guy likes this. That sounds great as long as my little pretty circle's good. And that's what it's really become. And they're entertained to death. Like you were saying earlier, this new generation, they play their video games. They are on their phones, on their iPads, on their iPods with their, what we would call Walkmans back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But
the old cassette tape, yeah.
Yeah, cassette tape, or yeah.
If you're old enough for 8-tracks, I had 8-tracks in some of the old cars that we had.
Yep. Well, now you can say, play whatever song you want, on the radio, and they get it. It's like they're constantly getting these images from the media on TV, from the songs that they listen to. And I know, Illuminati, I don't know if you know about them, but the top secret societies, they have these brainwashing mentalities in these songs. And when these kids are pumping them and pumping them and pumping them and pumping them every day, it really has an impact. And so I think, we have a generation that we just need to get woken up and unplug their ears, unplug their pads, unplug their phones and their video games, and teach them what's really going on.
Yep, get them to understand what, that they, I did the one day I was like, it was hot, of course. I was coming from work. I was running some errands, and I don't live far from my work, so I'm a golf pro at a golf course. So I drove by, and my kids were inside, and I went home, and I said, this is like, I think my youngest son was maybe 7 at the time, so it was 4 years ago. And my older son was home with him. He's 12. And so I'm like going, all right, guys, you need to get outside. I said, get outside, play some basketball, ride some bikes, do whatever. So I drove, and I was like 5 minutes where I had to do this errand. Come back by, and they're already back inside the house. And I went, pulled up, back outside, And it's just like it's so hard to drag them away from the TV anymore because they're so wanting to watch TV all the time or do something that has to be screen related. And that's the thing is we're trying to do is get your kids away from it. And the problem is I'm afraid that they're with the all this social media. I hate it when you sit there and you look at your kids that you talk nowadays, and there'll be 4 of them sitting at a table, and all 4 of them got their phones out. They don't even talk to each other.
Yeah.
Or they sit there and they text each other when they're sitting 2 feet away from each other. And I'm like, it happens. I had a kid at work tell me, he says, what? I was on the phone. So what? Your phone doesn't, you're not hired to talk on your phone.
Right.
You need to do is go to work, and they don't understand that. It's always, you're being mean to me. I'm like, hate to tell you, but the real world, you don't get to play with your phone when you're at work.
No, and that's I think my daughter the other day. I just gave her finally. She's 12 now, but I gave her the ability. She has like a little, I guess it's an Android.
Yeah.
But she got this new text now thing, and she's only allowed to text 2 people. I'm like, okay, you can text these 2 people. That's it. And so she texted me the other day, and I'm thinking, you're in the house. Get your butt over here. You're
That's
not
right.
Gonna text. So
I tell my we made it 13 was the cutoff before they could even get a phone. And the phone had to be used for, you could, my younger son's 10. He goes, I want a phone. Who are you going to call? I said, where are you that we're not with you?
Right.
And he just goes, well, I could call my friend. No, you don't need it. I said, you don't need to call and talk to them. So I told my my son when he was younger, and I said, I better not get, where you're streaming everything to where it costs me money. I said it because you got these data plans. They're all lumped together.
Yeah.
And I told my kids, I said, you better not be listening, streaming music, doing anything like that. If you want to do anything like that, you better do it from the house. I said, because that way, at least if you're streaming music from home, it goes on our Wi-Fi, not over the, causing our bill to go up. Well, the kids don't understand. It's like my daughter said to me the one time, she goes, how many miles over can you be speeding before they give you a ticket? I said, there is no, I said, there is no limit. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, they could give you 4 over, 5 over, whatever. And then I got to thinking, I go, wait a minute. That car's registered to my name. I said, I'm going to get the ticket. So there was one of these speed vans we have. And, they drive me nuts because they, all they are is a revenue generator. That's what I don't like about it.
Oh, yeah.
So, but we talked about, like right now, I saw a report today, and I think this is from, let me see, I want to quote the news organization, so let's see here. This is U.S. News. Arizona may criminalize recording cops in public. So right now, you think about that, and people don't understand the ramifications of that. If you criminalize recording police in public, and then it turns to recording the military in public, because what happens is then you start recording them when they come and do martial law and stuff like that, and you start recording it. They don't want you to be able to get the word out. Like we talked, I did a show about all the, what is it? What was the, they did it earlier this year. They did that, I can't think of the name of it. It was where they did all the Southwest. They had all the military go in. It was an operation that they had.
Jade Helm?
Jade Helm, that's it, exactly.
Oh, like, are you talking about Jade Helm?
I just slipped my mind. I did a whole program on Jade Helm and also the camps. And I talked to a master plumber. He's does inspections. That's all he does. They're telling me that they shut these Walmarts down for plumbing. He goes, they never shut them down. All they do is if they have a plumbing and they need to reroute it, they build a wall, they wall off that area, they reroute the plumbing, jackhammer the floor up, fix the floor, take down the wall, boom. Even while it's open. They said they never shut down. He said that's wrong. He read that and he was shocked that they quoted. And then other people said, well, it was because they were trying to start a union. I highly doubt it, but there's just a lot that's going on. They're talking about these FEMA camps that are popping up. I mean, you look, there's a website or whatever it is that you can go up and you can look at all these different FEMA camps that are going up all over the country. There's a open prison not far from here, from where I'm at, in Illinois. So, I think it's Savannah or whatever it is, or something like that they have not even opened. It was supposed to open, and then they said they didn't have enough money to open it. Well, they finally
spent them millions of dollars creating it, didn't they?
Yep, and then they have it open, but it's still waiting to have prisoners put in it. So, I mean, there's a perfect example of how they can pop a camp up instantly. And, I mean, people think that it's not going to happen. And they think that these Syrian refugees aren't going to come in. Well, they've already, applied for how many passports, and these green cards to come into here? It's astronomical what they think is going to happen. And what they want to do is they want to bring in immigrants to vote Democratic.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got somebody handing you stuff, are you going to vote them out?
Nope.
Not necessarily if they're going to give it to you, you don't want to vote your money or your meal ticket away. So yeah, it's crazy to think of what's going on in our society. Anything that you want to bring up that you have that you want to get out to everybody and make sure that they look forward, or I don't know about look forward to, but look out for, maybe that might be the better words, in our near future, and something that's going to happen soon. Because I keep reporting on it, and I'll keep following you, and I'll keep sharing your stuff and making sure that the word gets out.
Yeah, thank you. Well, there's so much stuff on the table right now. I mean, they've really, as we entered into 2016, I can't believe how much is already going on. And it's stunning, quite frankly, and disturbing. And then if you've been following the stocks at all, and I've got them here on my phone, but
it's out over 1,000 points.
Yeah, just in this past week, and we're only, this past 11 days. Oh, but don't worry, today they were up 52 points.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. Yeah.
But that's concerning. There have been times where it's gone down, so many days in a row, but it's really been pretty much its downward spiral this whole year. And then we know China dropped 7%, not once, but twice. And that's really, and they even, I know that they were, they used something in Wall Street to increase the market. It's just a bunch of fake junk, and I'm blanking on the term of it. But they fill it in or something to that effect to make it look good, better to buyers or whatever. And they're already doing that in Wall Street. They've been doing that this year. And with China, they've closed it and reopened it. And it's really just, the economy across the globe, it's starting its toppling effect. Now, if it will continue on that path, I don't know, or if we'll have another Band-Aid, that's to be determined. They keep putting Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid after Band-Aid. At some point, the bandages are going to come off.
Yeah, the artery's going to break one of these days.
Yeah, and the longer that we wait, the bigger it's going to be. The bigger the bubble, the more Band-Aids, the bigger the bubble, the bigger the fall. So I don't look forward to that, but I do encourage people to stock up with food, stock up with water, be prepared, and, it's never a bad thing to be prepared.
Yeah, I looked at one of these, what do they call them, the food preparation sites for, you can storage. And I'm probably going to do is, get some of that because, you could get months and months worth of, because, I think the thing that we have to worry more about is in probably near distant future is somebody coming in and doing an EMP blast and taking out our grid, our electric grid. And, you talk about an EMP blast taking out electric, it's going to take months for them to get it back.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have any food storage set aside, the grocery store has got about 3 weeks worth of food. That's about it. And it'll take years to get the grid back on. My husband, they might get it on in some areas a little sooner, but these transformers, they don't have a good backup supply on them. And, my husband works in that field. They talk about it. Let's say our grid goes down and everybody goes, well, I'll just go to the bank. I'm sorry, but your bank isn't going to work. You're not going to get money out of it. And if people are going to do is, if you look at what happens when, like Katrina, it turned into, it was a lawless society down there in certain parts. And the people that they had guns protecting themselves, they went in and took them from them.
Yeah.
That was the thing I couldn't understand
stupid.
by that.
Yes, because then they can't defend themselves. And there was a buttload of crime.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're just putting these people, were they going to stand outside their door and make sure they're safe? Hell no, they didn't.
No.
And so people got killed and murdered because of it.
And we, you look at our, if our grid goes down, and I tell people, I say, you look at it, if you're down for 3 days, well, that's a major inconvenience. But if you're down for 3 months or 3 years or whatever, everything that you know of as a job, as a life, of anything that you've done stops. Because everybody goes, well, you're going to drive your car until you run out of gas. Then you're not going to be able to get any more. Because that pump's not going to work. Everybody doesn't realize how dependent they are on electricity. I talk to people that have their go bags. They're ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, they're ready to in case of a moment's notice, go and be off the grid, because it at any time something could happen, and you're going to have to hold up in your house and hope that you have enough to be able to sustain yourself, because you're going to have to protect your family, and people would just love to watch the grid get taken out, and overseas. They don't realize how long it would take to get back.
Yeah.
I mean, you see major storms and it taking months for them to get people's power back on. And that's from a major storm where where they send crews from all over the place.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, imagine how long it's going to take if all of it's gone. You hit some major switching stations and take everybody out. Yeah, that's the thing that I worry at as a kind of a terroristic attack that could be. I live close to one of the nuclear power plants here. I'm, with all the stuff that goes on, I'm real surprised that, we haven't seen drone attacks from that, or drone attacks from because there's so many different things that they can do. But yeah, we're getting into this where your firearms are going to be very useful, and when they're trying to take them away, I think you're going to see people where you're going to see kind of situations where they're going to hold up in their house and the military is going to go in and take them from them. It's going to be, and that's going to be the scary part of it.
And the scary part is they only take it from the good guys. The bad guys aren't going to give it up. They're going to go hide it. They're going to go bury it, somewhere where the government doesn't know about it. They still have it. And then they know you and I and everybody else is unarmed, so why not just go after it?
That's right.
I won't be giving up mine, that's for sure. But that's exactly what happens. Another thing that I would encourage people, because of that reason, if the government does come and forcibly takes it, maybe you don't have that option. Maybe maybe they came in and took your guns when you weren't home. Who knows? It could happen. So if possible, learn self-defense tactics. That's the other thing, especially with the Syrian refugee crisis. As for women, if we're going to have more of an influx, be prepared with self-defense tactics to defend yourself in the event that you run into something on the street and you don't have a gun, or your gun gets confiscated or gets taken away because of some event. And that's the other thing I really encourage people to do is find and take some self-defense classes so you know what to do in case of an emergency.
I actually helped teach Taekwondo.
Nice.
I'm a second-degree black belt.
Are you?
My 16-year-old son's a first degree, and my 10-year-old is a blue belt. He's working his way about halfway to his black belt.
So I can have you on my side, right?
I'm getting ready to test for my third, but sometime this spring. I just got over some surgery, so been out for a little while, getting back into the swing of things. But I've been teaching for I don't know how long. I mean, and just helping out, and I like to see these young kids that take it, because it builds confidence in them. Not alone just confidence in being a person, but confidence in being able to, if something happens, they can defend themselves. Or all they need to do is to slow it down enough to where they can get away. Yeah. I don't plan them to, stand there and be, Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee and take this person on. You want to do is just have them being able to do enough technique to be able to get away and get some help. And, because majority of it's going to be if somebody try to abduct them or do something in that situation. Well, if they can get away from that, that's great, and save a life, but I really want to appreciate you coming on. I see you starting to get tired there. I don't know what time it is. I don't know where you're located at.
I didn't mean to yawn on the I'm like, oh.
It's probably pretty late. A lot of people, I don't know what state you're in, but it's 11 o'clock almost my time. So you're probably getting ready to My wife's probably been in bed since about 8. She gets up early though. She's an early riser. She's a nurse, so she's up early.
Wow.
She's works oncology, works cancer, and
Nice.
does all
Well, bless her heart. That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
I couldn't handle that field. I mean, as a police officer, I'd rather do is, wrestle a guy than sit there and have to do some of the things that they have to do.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, she got more strength than I do, that's for sure. But no, I appreciate you coming on. Sometime in the future, I would love to see you come on again if we can get enough to talk about. I think we hit a lot of subjects tonight.
Yeah, and thank you for allowing me to come on the program. And sorry it took so long.
It's all right.
And over the holiday season, I'm like, no.
Oh yeah,
So I put everything on pause until
that's right.
First week in January. Like, okay, it's good now.
I appreciate it, and I want to thank you very much. And I'll keep spreading the word and keep the good the good reports coming.
Thank you very much, and you too, Matt.
Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Well, that was Lisa Haven from lisahaven.net. She some great topics. You can catch her out on lisahaven.net and see a lot of great stories that she's written and she talks about. And I mean, they're detailed articles, not just tidbits here and there. But I was finally glad. I've been asking her for a while to come on. So I appreciate her finally coming on. It's almost time for us to end the show. We went commercial free. I know Joe loves it when I do that, but I did run the commercials at the beginning, so it was informative night, and hopefully we can keep it going and get some more people to talk about realistic problems that are coming to that we face every day. So don't be ignorant. Make sure you do is tune in, listen. You never know when you're going to be have to step up and do something that makes a difference. I really think that we need to do is pay attention to what's going on in society. When I was a kid, I didn't think about politics. I didn't think anything about that because I didn't think it affected me. And I hate talking about politics because the reason why it just seems like it's a bad. You get on it and people, I don't want to talk about politics. And they start a fight. Well, yes, I can understand but the thing that I have a problem with is if you're Republican or Democrat or Independent or whatever, it's how they all can't work together. How they can be so polar opposite that it doesn't matter what the topic is or what's going on. If the Republicans come up with something, Democrats will not go for it. Doesn't matter if it would be the best thing in the world for this country, and vice versa. Doesn't matter. If the Democrats come up with something that's a great idea, the Republicans won't go for it. So I love this article that's going on Facebook. It says 1.3 billion divided by 300 million is 4.33. Well, originally somebody was talking about how somebody shared this post, and I can't believe how they're not paying any attention. It says Powerball 1.3 billion divided by U.S. population 300 million. Everyone receives 4.33 million. You better think your math a little bit better. 1.33 billion divided by 300 million is $4.33 a person. Duh. So you look at. Let me see if I can find the other. We were talking about in the news. Here's another one. You talk about crime going on the way it is. This is one that happened at Walmart. It was shoplifter bites off the finger of a Walmart worker. This is a South Carolina woman who was convicted last year of clobbering a fellow club employee over the head with a stiletto shoe, was arrested yesterday after she bit off the finger of a Walmart employee who tried to stop her from shoplifting condoms, lubricant, and panties. Nice. Class. So, yeah, bit her finger off. So, nice. So, if you, well, we just hit our time zone there. Time is up. So, I want a special thanks again to Lisa Haven from lisahaven.net for coming on tonight's show. I think it was a great show. Hopefully we got some more people that are going to be coming on next week. We can get keep the good guests coming. So once again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Have a great night, and most of all, have a great week. And like I like to end every show, be safe.